Hello and welcome to another edition of the SHRM Labs Workplace Tech Spotlight. Hello and happy Friday to you all. My name is Guillermo Corea, Managing Director of SHRM Labs, SHRM's Workplace Innovation Lab. I will be your host for this new series where we shine a spotlight on some of the most interesting future of work innovators and disruptive technologies. Before we get started with today's discussion, a little housekeeping and general announcements. So for any startups listening to us today, the Workplace Tech Accelerator application period for the 2023 cohort has opened and it will be closed on January 16th. So we actually opened that up yesterday. Hope you all saw our announcement. Also, the application period for the Better Workplaces Challenge Cup, the leading workplace tech pitch competition, is now open, and the deadline for startups to apply is January 15th. This year, we're actually further expanding the competition globally to even more countries, and we're also adding a new track for SHRM members to showcase how the people who know the workplace the best, HR, are innovating. The application for individual SHRM members will be opening on January 2nd, and the winner of this competition will receive a trip to the SHRM Annual Conference and Exposition, which is happening next year in Las Vegas from June 11th through the 14th. As many of you know, this is the largest HR conference in the world. Lastly, for those of you who are watching on social media, please share this live stream and tag SHRM. You can also use the hashtags SHRM Labs as well as Workplace Tech. So today, we're going to touch on what I view as the most critical issue facing the workplace today, and one, honestly, that deserves a lot more focus from everybody: the mental health of workers. So the SHRM Foundation released a report last April called The Mental Health in America, a 2022 Workplace Report. Our report found that 90% of HR professionals claim that mental health resources can help prevent burnout. When the report was released, half of all US workers said they felt burnt out from their job in the last 2 weeks. Burnout and stress are hampering short-term productivity as well as long-term business growth. The World Health Organization estimates $1 trillion in revenue has been lost due to anxiety. Here are some surprising stats from the report, believe it or not. 72% of HR professionals believe mental health resources can attract new talent. 86% of HR professionals see mental health resources as an employee retention apparatus. Even more surprisingly, though, given the firm belief in these resources amongst you, the HR professionals out there, there's a dichotomy for the organization. Only 32% of HR professionals claim that their organizations consider offering these resources as a high priority. Another surprising statistic is how critical these benefits are to those evaluating potential employers. 35% believe mental health benefits are more important than higher pay or salary, and 53% are likely to leave their job for one that offers better mental health benefits. So clearly, this is a very, very hot and important topic that needs to be discussed and needs to be focused on. So joining us to talk about this topic today is Carolyn Peer, CEO and co-founder of Humaxa. Carolyn, thank you so much for joining us and welcome to the stage. Before we begin, please tell us or tell the audience a little bit about Humaxa.
Sure. Thank you so much, Guillermo. I'm thrilled to be here. And for anyone who's listening, highly recommend the Workplace Tech Accelerator. It's been fantastic for us and a great experience. So I have been working in HR, in learning and performance for about 23 years. And what's unique perhaps is working in an HR tech company on HR. So in one sense, it's like being a dog working in a dog food factory. But one of the things that I kept hearing over and over and over from our clients and from our employees is that there are problems that people just can't talk about. It is really hard to ask for help, especially at work, where you feel like you're in a spotlight and it's very difficult to say, hey, I'm struggling. I'm struggling with my mental health. I'm struggling with my workplace performance. It's affecting my productivity. And so most of the time, what would happen is people would just sort of sweep it under the rug. And after hearing about this over and over and not really seeing, there were great mental health, counseling services and EAPs and so forth, but there wasn't a really good way to open the door to having these really tough conversations just to get the ball rolling. So in 2017, I left my employer to found Humaxa.
Okay, fantastic, excellent. So let's get right to it, right? Because we only have a short period of time here, and this is a topic that we could probably, create an entire conference or around it, to be honest with you.
Sure.
So what are the issues and challenges you're seeing, as it regards to employee retention, mental health, and, honestly, the importance of empathy, because that I think goes along with this topic.
Right. Right. So, of course, we've just gone through this period of what they call the Great Resignation, and retention has been a really hot button. What we have seen at Humaxa is that what is important for each individual person is wildly different for each person. And I think a lot of the times what happens is organizations recognize the importance of mental health and having resources available to their employees, but then somehow the dots just aren't connected. I'll give you an example. I was having a conversation not too long ago with one of our clients, and they were losing their people at a very regular pace. About every 6 months, someone would leave. It could almost predict it. And they started having exit interviews and really trying to get into the root cause. And what they found was that the nature of the work was very stressful, and that people were taking their work home. It was affecting their family, their work life. And so they would leave. And so they started kind of throwing money at the problem. They put in resources. They had counseling services. They had training on work-life balance and how to, all these different things. The same thing kept happening. They kept leaving after about 6 months. And so they would ask, well, did you use these resources? Was it helpful? And 9 times out of 10, people would say, oh yeah, that's right. We did have that. Or, oh yeah, I did think about that, but I wasn't sure where it was, or if I was really the right person to take it. Like, there just was a disconnect. And a lot of what we do at Humaxa is really just try to get that door open and, get people talking about the things that are really, really hard to talk about.
So what kind of, because obviously you guys have collected a whole lot of information. By the way, let's just be clear, right? This information is anonymous. It's only between
Yep.
the bot and the person.
Exactly.
HR doesn't see it or anything like that. But HR can be alerted, if there are any issues. But what kind of information have you collected around some of the tricky workplace conversations that are happening?
One of the things that we've seen is in the beginning, I mean, let's face it, having a conversation with a bot is a little bit strange. It's sort of a little bit new agey, and it can be tough to have. So what we see is in the beginning, people tend to talk about very innocuous topics, really simple things like, hey, I need help. I need an expert in Microsoft Excel. I'm working on this pivot table. And then, of course, it can go connect you with an expert who can help. But as time goes on, people get more comfortable with the concept. Then they start talking about the really tricky things. So, I mean, with the pandemic that's been going on, a lot of the hot conversations have been about, I've been stuck at home for 5 months due to health issues. I haven't made a new friend in 5 years. I feel lonely, depressed. It's affecting my work. It's affecting my productivity. I just hope someone is listening to me. And of course, that is a way to open the door to either get the person the resources they need, send an alert. People can have an anonymous conversation to help that person feel more comfortable. Because as I'm sure and from the day we start, growing up as kids, we're told don't ask for help. It makes you look bad. It's just this, it makes, you're struggling. Like everyone is taught from a very early age to not show your vulnerability and to be strong and independent and don't ask for help. And I think especially in today's age, people are really starting to feel the repercussions of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's something that's taught, as you said, from a very early stage in life.
Mhm. Yeah.
So what do you think are some of the things that would help open the door to some of these tough conversations, right?
Right. Well, one thing is just, I mean, this sounds strange, but practice having them before you need to actually have them. So, following, you can even role play or have a sample conversation with someone that is, practicing how to, hey, Carolyn, I'm struggling. There's there I feel like I'm being bullied at work, and my manager's really busy right now and just doesn't seem to have the time. Like, how do you have these really tough conversations? So you can practice having them, and again, having them anonymously is definitely a way to get the door open. And I think recognizing that what's really tough to talk about and what's affecting someone's work, and it's really different for each individual person. Another example we had is someone who felt, walking in the door at their office every day, there was the pictures of all the company presidents, all the company, the history, and just, I mean, historically speaking, all of their company presidents were men. So every single day when people walked in the door, that was like the first thing that they saw was just this wall of all men on the door. And the company's really trying to open doors, bring mentorship programs and so forth, really trying to, help have more diversity at the leadership level. But there was this mixed message going on that no one was paying attention to. But again, having these anonymous conversations helped open the door to, that doesn't really feel good. It feels like in order to really reach the highest echelons of this company, this is what you have to look like. And that's not good.
Interesting. Very, very interesting. Anything else you can tell us perhaps about, based on all the research that you guys have looked at, what are some of the results that you've drawn about the issues surrounding when employees don't ask for help? Like, what are some of the things that can happen?
Yeah, it's unfortunately some of our most powerful conversations are with organizations who have had very bad incidents happen. For example, of an employee who's taken their own life or has, just really spiraled out of control into a very, very bad place. And sometimes, even though it's only one person, it affects the entire company or the entire organization that they work in. Of course, that's a worst case scenario. A lot of times people just leave. They just quit their job and do something completely different that they feel is the highest, probability of not getting into a bad situation or really stressful situation. But all that's preventable. And that's that's what, that's kind of the impetus to, you know, starting this company and hopefully getting people to the help and the resources and having conversations kicked off that really will make a difference in that
Yeah,
regard.
it's interesting that you mentioned, about that employees just get to a point where they just leave, right? And that's actually right in line with research that we came out with 3 years ago that
Mm,
showed that 58% of people leave or quit their jobs because of a bad manager.
mhm.
So yeah, and obviously, I'm sure a lot of the mental health issues go into that. When you take into account empathy, for example.
Sure. I mean, that's the easiest thing to do is just, just leave a bad situation, right? Walk out.
Right, right, exactly. Excellent. Well, before we get to the end here, are there any valuable resources that you think HR professionals that are watching this right now might find helpful out there?
Sure. So we have a report that really goes into much more sort of numerical percentage detail around what are the hot topics that we're seeing over the course of time, what's been trending in the last 6 months or so. Would be happy to share it with anyone who's interested. Doesn't cost anything, just we'll send it to you. So if you would drop your email into the chat, if that's possible, I think it is. that would be great. Our team will pick it up and make sure you receive the report. Of course, you can also reach out to me as well. I'm Carolyn.Peer at Humaxa.com.
Okay. Fantastic. Excellent. Unfortunately, that's all the time that we have for today. And like I said, this is something that we could go and have an entire conference about,
Absolutely.
right? So Caroline, thank you so much for joining us today. This has been a wonderful and well-timed conversation, right? And for you out there, we hope all of you enjoyed it. If you'd like to learn more about Humaxa and how they are innovating the workplace, please visit Humaxa.com, and that's HUMAXA.com. Thank you all for tuning in to the SHRM Labs Workplace Tech Spotlight. If you enjoy this live stream, please share it using the hashtags SHRM Labs, Workplace Tech, as well as SHRM. And don't forget to tune in to our next one, which is going to be held on Friday, December 16th at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. For more information about SHRM Labs, please visit us at shrmlabs.com. And we look forward to you joining us again. Thank you, and have a great Friday.